Hey y'all, welcome back to Movement Link. So, as people are looking to change up their diets and do some positive things for their life, man, what you're eating is probably the hardest thing to tackle, but it is so incredibly worth it. So, first of all, I like to always mention that the first place you should tackle is your sleep. If you're not getting enough sleep, it's going to make all of the changes that you're making to your diet that much harder to make. And if you're sleeping well, you're going to have the willpower and the motivation. Your hormones are going to be more in sync, and it's going to make all of these nutrition decisions that you're trying to make in your life so much easier. So let's talk about if you're ready to make that change and go for it, and we're going to improve nutrition, what should we be doing? So, first of all, we'll talk through what these are, but my recommendation would not be to count macros and calories. We'll talk about why, but let's first talk about what these are, and then we'll talk about kind of why I don't like starting here. So, first of all, let's start with counting calories. This is something everyone's familiar with. You pick a number of calories that you think, or your nutritionist or the internet thinks that you should be eating based on your weight, your height, your activity level. Basically, what you're going to get is a pretty bad estimation on how many calories you need each day. So every day is going to be different. Did you work out that day? Okay, that's going to burn more calories than not. Did you work out the day before? That's going to change how many calories. Are you spending all day on the couch? Do you work this way? So many different factors, and for most of us, the amount of calories we're going to burn on a day-to-day basis is going to be very, very different. So counting calories is the first thing. The other thing about counting calories is it's not taking into account what type of food you're eating. So 2,000 calories of Pop-Tarts is not as good as 2,000 calories of meat and vegetables. So counting calories alone isn't going to be enough. So let's move into counting macros, because this is, people are kind of over the calorie stuff. They're going into macros. Macros is basically counting calories, except we're going to make sure that you get certain amounts of carbs, protein, and fat. So why is it the same? What we're going to do with macros is we're going to figure out how many calories we think you should be eating, and then we're going to come up with how many grams of carbs, protein, and fat need to happen to make a certain number of percentages. A pretty standard place to start is 40% carbs, 30% protein, 30% fat. How many grams of each of these do we need to eat in a day to get that calorie number? And that's what counting macros is. There's flexible dieting and there's the zone diet. What the zone diet is trying to do is trying to get you to hit these macros every single meal that you're having. Flexible dieting is trying to get you to eat these macros within the course of a day. Okay, so that's kind of what those are and what's going on here. But again, this doesn't control the quality of food you're eating. You can fill your macros and you can hit your macros with donuts and cheese and all of these other things, and you don't necessarily have to eat real food. So what this doesn't take into account is micronutrients, vitamins, and minerals. And we want to supplement when we need to, but we want our primary source of vitamins and minerals to be from food. So what do we need to do? We need to eat. Oops, I don't need to write eat. You guys could assume that word. We need to eat real food. Okay, so what is this? Real food was once alive. It was not made in a laboratory. It doesn't have added sugar. It doesn't have the fiber removed. It wasn't made in a laboratory to be habit forming and to get out to you as cheaply as possible. Real food was once alive. We're talking about vegetables, meats, fish, eggs, fruits, nuts, seeds, stuff like this. Real food. So what happens is when we're eating high processed food with added sugars, when we're eating high glycemic foods with low nutrients, it messes with our hunger hormones, ghrelin and leptin. And we're not able to tell if we're really hungry or if our hormones are out of whack. So what happens is when we start eating real food, it's actually really hard to overeat, because the amount of food for the amount of calories we're getting, the amount of food is huge, versus if we're eating crappy food, this amount of food gives us the same amount of calories. So we love to start here, real food, because what we see over and over and over and over again, not only are people deficient in so many vitamins and minerals, and we need to get that back into their diet to aid performance, to stop inflammation, to get their overall health and wellness up. But we need to get this real food in place just because it's going to be the foundation of everything we're doing. So as we're going, the first place we start is eating real food. We want people to learn, how do we get this food around us for every single meal? What a lot of our clients, almost all of them, figure out very early on is, man, this is a lot of food I can eat to get in the same areas of calories and to hit our macros. So we're not going to throw this stuff out completely. We're going to start and prioritize, let's get you eating real food. Once you're eating real food, and once we've kind of gone through the, oh, I want to substitute this for this, and we've had all the conversations about what is actually on our okay to eat list and what is on our do not eat list, once we have some time getting into our rhythms of life and figuring out how to get this real food around us, that's when we want to go, and just for a few days we want to check in on where those macros are at, so we can look at calories, we can look at percentages here, we can look at diversity of food so we can see what kind of vitamins and minerals we're getting in, and we can do these check-ins every now and then we can learn something from it and adjust. But when any given day we burn different amounts of calories, this real food eating put your hormones, especially your hunger hormones, back in balance, and then you can tell when you're hungry and you can tell when you're not hungry. And what we see so often is people are eating real food. Sometimes they don't even eat all of the food that's in front of them because they're so in tune, and they become so in tune with their hunger and how much sustenance they actually need. So there's so many benefits to this real food, but the main thing is just it gives you a much better, honest relationship with what you're putting in your body, where we can be fooled by a lot of the high glycemic, highly processed, sugary foods that happen here. So we like to start, eat real food. Let's figure out how to get us around it. Once we've kind of settled into the groove, then we like to check in. Is what we're doing somewhere in the realm of what we're after? Are we losing weight? Are we gaining weight? Are we gaining muscle? How's our body composition? These are the types of things we want to see. That way we can start making adjustments. And if we're losing weight, we're feeling good, and then we look at the calories we're eating, we can have a much better idea of where we want these numbers to be, and we can make kind of adjustments. Oh, let's add this food. Oh, let's kind of pull back on this type of food that you're eating. Maybe the timing of when we're eating makes a big difference. We do videos on that where we've talked about that in detail. So why do we see high-level athletes counting their macros? So let's just take that scenario real fast before we end it here. Imagine yourself being an elite world-class athlete where all you do in your life is eat, sleep, train, and you train a lot. Those people are going to have a very good idea of how much nutrition that they need to fuel their exercises. What they're also going to do is get it wrong on the too much nutrition side, so they always have enough there. And then if they see themselves gaining weight, it's pretty easy to pull back a little bit. So when you're consistently working out at a world-class level, maybe this stuff makes a little more sense, because we have to make sure that you are getting adequate nutrition. But most of us who are watching this video, myself included, I'm not working out like a world-class. I'm not doing 3 workouts in a day. My life does not revolve around working out. My life revolves around running a business and coaching. I work out to, one, because I like it, but I work out to be healthy, to look good. I like having the ability to perform out in the real world, and I want to be I want to resolve nagging pains and injuries. So for me, this real food approach works so well and is so easy. Instead of having to track every single thing I do for every meal, I eat real food. I eat when I'm hungry, and I make sure that when I'm hungry, I eat a meal. So I'm trying not to do snacks because all that kind of works into it. So if you're looking to make that big change, start with real food. Once you're kind of rolling with real food, this is going to have a much bigger impact on everything than this will. Once you're rolling with real food, feel free to check in on this every now and then, or work with somebody to check in on this stuff every now and then, so we can guide and make better decisions here. But this needs to be the base. This is kind of the secret to everything, and everyone's just looking for the shortcuts. They're looking for, how do I keep eating the crappy food that I'm eating and lose weight? And you got to just get over that. You can't be healthy doing that. Don't try. Hope this helps. Talk to y'all soon.